Hey yo, what's the deal? It's the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon. We pull the strings. Yeah! And I'm back at you with another video. And you know what? I've seen a lot of people, and I thought back, did a lot of videos on like Jon's parentage and stuff like that, and who's Jon Snows' mother. I know it's been touched on and done over and over, but not by me. So I'm going to do it. And there could be a little twist in there that people aren't really touching on that maybe I can poke a little light on or something like that. And I got something else for you. So but before I get into all that, I want to say what up to all my new subscribers. I have gotten a bunch of them, and I appreciate that and stuff like that. So basically, the way I can talk about Jon's parentage is like this. We know Eddard's not his father. We know that, right? The man has too much honor for everything we know about his character to cheat, right? And you know he just got married. So he got married, he had sex with her, that's where Rob comes from, and he's off to war. So you know the man's not cheating. So we gotta think, now he has this baby. Why would he say this is his kid? He has to be protecting this child somehow. And why would he protect this child to the point where he would disgrace himself, a man so honor-bound, disgrace himself to protect this child, who is Jon Snow? All right. So basically, the way I could really tell you how to get into it is, if you look at his fever dream, and that basically tells you how it is, tells you what you need to know of how it goes down at Jon's birth. So here we go. Lord Eddard Stark's fever dream.
My brother, Lord Stark, I want him back.
He dreamt an old dream of 3 knights in white cloaks, and a tower long fallen, and Lyanna in a bed of blood. In the dream, his friends rode with him, as they had in life. Proud Martin Cassel, Jory's father, faithful Theowall, Ethan Glover, who had been Brandon's squire, Sir Mark Risewell, soft of speech and gentle of heart, the Crannock man, Howland Reed, Lord Dustin, on his great red stallion. Ned had known their faces as well as he knew his own once, but the years leach at a man's memories, even those he has vowed never to forget. In the dream they were only shadows, grey wraiths on horses made of mist. They were 7 facing 3, in the dream as it had been in life. Yet these were no ordinary 3. They waited before the round tower, the red mountains of dawn at their backs, their white cloaks billowing in the wind.
Alright, so we'll stop it right there. So now we have, this is right after Eddard has been stabbed by Jaime Lannister and attacked. He's having this dream, this fever dream. Now, what it's saying in the beginning is, these men are appearing to him as wraiths in the dream, but they rode him in real life. So you know that the dream is real, what he's saying. But in the dream, they're just appearing as wraiths. And he comes upon, this is after Robert has taken the city, and everything has gone down there. He's gone down to look for his sister. What he's dreaming is his sister's in a bed of blood, a bloody bed, right? That's what we're hearing right there. So that's the biggest point right there. His sister's in a bed of blood. He's down there with his boys, 7 of them, right? Now there's 7 men, and they're very important, all 7 of them. And these are his boys. They travel down there, they get there, and now they see the King's Guardsmen. Now why are these King's Guardsmen there? Why are they there, these guys? These guys' job is to guard the king. So why are they there? So we're going to back it up, like I always do. Not too much, just a little bit, and continue the video.
In the dream they were only shadows, grey wraiths on horses made of mist. They were 7 facing 3, in the dream as it had been in life. Yet these were no ordinary 3. They waited before the round tower, the red mountains of dawn at their backs, their white cloaks billowing in the wind. And these were no shadows. Their faces burned clear even now. Sir Arthur Dane, the sword of the morning, had a sad smile on his lips. The hilt of the great sword Dawn poked up over his right shoulder.
Now, the King's Guardsman, Sir Arthur Dane, with the great sword of Dawn. Now we know who Sir Arthur Dane is. Sir Arthur Dane has this the sword of Dawn. Now this Dawn sword is passed down to not just the people in his family, but you have to be worthy to hold this sword. This sword is supposedly looks like milk, and supposedly it came down as a part of a comet and was forged from that, and that's why it's milk glass. And supposedly this man is unbeatable, Sir Arthur Dane, with this sword in his hands. That he is the greatest swordsman of all time. They said if he fought Jaime Lannister, it would be a stalemate unless he had this sword. But this sword would give him that much of an edge. So that's one of the King's Guardsmen that is there.
Sir Oswald Went was on one knee, sharpening his blade with a whetstone. Across his white enamelled helm, the black bat of his house spread its wings.
So Oswald Went with the black bat of Harrenhal, when we know what happens to the people with the Harrenhal, and he's there. So that's two.
Between them stood fierce old Sir Gerald Hightower, the White Bull, Lord Commander of the King's Guard. I looked.
And now Sir Gerald Hightower is there, the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, the #1 dude. So you have the #1 dude there at this tower, the #1 dude with the best fighter next to him with the greatest sword. Why are they there? It's puzzling why they're there. So let's try to figure this out. And that's what Ned's trying to figure out. The sword of the morning. I love the sword of the morning. That's my dude.
And these were no shadows. Their faces burned clear even now. Sir Arthur Dane, the sword of the morning, had a sad smile on his lips. The hilt of the great sword Dawn poked up over his right shoulder. Sir Oswald Went was on one knee, sharpening his blade with a whetstone. Across his white enamelled helm, the black bat of his house spread its wings. Between them stood fierce old Sir Gerald Hightower, the White Bull, Lord Commander of the King's Guard. I looked for you on the Trident, Ned said to them. We were not there, Sir Gerald answered. Woe to the usurper if we had been, said Sir Oswald. When King's Landing fell, Sir Jaime slew your king with a golden sword, and I wondered where you were. Far away, Sir Gerald said, or Ares would yet sit on the Iron Throne, and our false brother would burn in 7 hells. I came down on Storm's End to lift the siege, Ned told them, and the Lords Tyrell and Redwine dipped their banners and all their knights bent their knee to pledge us fealty. I was certain you would be among them. Our knees do not bend easily, said Sir Arthur Dane. Sir Willem Darry is fled to Dragonstone with your queen and Prince Viserys. I thought you might have sailed with him. Sir Willem is a good man and true, said Sir Oswald. But not of the King's Guard, Sir Gerard pointed out. The King's Guard does not flee. Then or now.
Alright, so what we have to point out right here, I'll point out to you right now. Before, when you listen to it, it said that these 3 guys, they didn't appear to him as race. Now, his friends appeared to him as race, but these guys' memory and their power is so much that they appear to him in regular form. That's what they're trying to say there. And then he's trying to figure out, why are you here? He's giving all the scenarios. You're not on. How come you're not on the battlefield? You weren't there. He's giving a scenario. We went to King's Landing. You're not there. And then he gives another scenario. How come you're not there? Why are you 3 guys here? He's saying the Tyrells bent the knee. Everyone bent the knee. All these guys, but you guys are here. And they're like, we don't bend the knee. We made a vow. A vow. A vow to what? What did they make this vow to? That they will not bend the knee, that they will not leave this place. They made a vow. What could be that important? that's in there that they're defending in this tower.
Sir William is a good man and true, said Sir Oswald. But not of the king's guard, Sir Gerard pointed out. The king's guard does not flee. Then or now, said Sir Arthur. He donned his helm. We swore a vow, explained old Sir Gerald. Ned's wraiths moved up beside him with shadow swords in hand. They were 7 against 3. And now it begins, said Sir Arthur Dane, the sword of the morning. He unsheathed Dawn and held it with both hands. The blade was pale as milk glass, alive with light. No, Ned said with sadness in his voice, now it ends. As they came together in a rush of steel and shadow, he could hear Lyanna screaming, Eddard!
Alright, so now you see, Ned is here not to play with these guys. Ned is here to end it. He wants it over. He's not coming to talk. He doesn't want anything. So Sir Arthur Dane pulls his big sword out and he's like, let's begin. And Ned's like, no. It's going to end right now. This is to the death. Either I'm dying or all you are dying. And this is 7 versus 3. We're going to back it up a little bit. And here we go.
And now it begins, said Sir Arthur Dane, the sword of the morning. He unsheathed Dawn and held it with both hands. The blade was pale as milk glass, alive with light. No, Ned said with sadness in his voice, now it ends. As they came together in a rush of steel and shadow, he could hear Lyanna screaming, Eddard, she called. A storm of rose petals blew across a blood-streaked sky, as blue as the eyes of death. Lord Eddard, Lyanna called out again. I promise, he whispered. Leah, I promise. Lord Eddard, a man echoed from the dark. Groaning, Eddard Stark opened his eyes. Moonlight streamed through the tall windows of the tower of the Hand. Lord Eddard. A shadow stood over his bed.
Pardon your grace.
Alright. And Eddard wakes up and sees Robert looking down on him. Alright, so what we have to see that when Eddard they describe, here's his sister calling them out. She's described as the blue rose. You see the petals with the blood in the sky. Blue roses. Now, blood. Bloody bed. Blue roses. Blue roses smell nice. So if something's going on that's really bloody in the bed, you know what's got to be happening here, right? So she's giving birth. These 3 men get killed by Eddard and his men. Only one survives, Howland Reed, with Eddard. And it's Howland Reed that gives Ned the upper hand to kill Sir Arthur Dane, right? So now, they go into the tower. Ned finds her bloody bed. Promise me, Leia. Promise me. He agrees to promise her. Now, after that, Eddard shows up at Winterfell, Jon Snow, and he has a bastard son, and that's that. So, obviously, what I have to say and what we have to agree upon is, most people do agree upon, is that that baby is Rhaegar's baby, because why else would those 3 men be protecting him? Has to be his legal baby, has to be the true king, the heir to the throne, for all 3 of them to be there protecting that certain child. And that is why he has to protect, because you know how Robert does with anything with Targaryen blood, he kills him. Now, that's basically what we have. It has to be, right? There's only one other thing I could say that's possibly not. Jon Snow is not Rhaegar's child. And there's only one thing I could see that throws a monkey wrench in there. After that happens, right? He goes, Ned, to Ashura Dane, right? And gives her the sword and tells him that he kills her. Now, Ashura Dane is this lady that Ned had a crush on, right? And he wanted her. And so did Sir Barristan Selmy. He wanted her, right? Not Sir Barristan Selmy. Mormont, all right? Mormont, Bear Island, right? The droid. He loved her, right? So what he says is that she was defiled by a Stark. He says Stark. Now, we know that he was very shy to talk to her. So, and we know that his brother was alive at this time when they were at this festival, they were together. So, what I'm saying is this is what happened, all right? What happened was Brandon, right, goes over to her and acts like he's dancing with her. And he's like, yo, I'm going to hook you up, son, don't worry, to his brother. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to get at it for you. So he goes over there and starts dancing with her. He starts dancing and was like, yo, my younger brother is interested in you. What's good with that? And then she's like, well, how about you? And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, how about you? Now, knowing Brandon, you know, this is what he likes to do. As to Dustin, the lady said, he likes to see his sword with blood on it, right? So we have to assume the Stark that defiled her was Brandon. And that's why he couldn't step to him, because Brandon would have beat his ass more, man. He would have beat the shit out of him. He's bigger than him, and Brandon was wild, right? So he goes there, and he drops his sword off, and then she jumps out the window and kills herself. Cersei says to Ned, and this is the only key I could have tying this together. She says to him, when she talks about Ashura Day, and she said, did she kill herself for the baby you took or the brother you slew? So that could be saying that Jon would be the baby of Brandon and Ashura Dane, and Ned took Jon then and went back to Winterfell. That could be the only other possibility of Jon's paternity, if there is any. So that's the two things I can say on that. It's gonna a quick video on that. You know, put your comments down. And I know a lot of people already did the Jon Snows birthright, but that's what I have to say. Me particularly, I gotta say, Jon Snow is Rhaegar, is the rightful king, and I think all the signs point to it from there. Also, I like to say, since, you know, I'm up here in New York and stuff like that, but where I live in New York is right by Armageddon Brewery. And why I would say Armageddon Brewery, why is that important to Game of Thrones? Well, Armageddon Brewery is actually the brewery that does the Game of Thrones beer. Now this right here is the Game of Thrones beer. This is the last one that came out. Game of Thrones, Take the Black Stout. I don't know if all y'all ever had a chance to try that. I have tried a couple of bottles of it. I'm not a big stout guy, but I did think this was decent. And I think it's very good if you use it in chilies and stuff like that. If you cook with stout, use this beer straight up. Now, Game of Thrones is having another beer that's coming out, the Fire beer. And that gets released to everybody else. That's nationwide, I think, at the end of the month. But I'm going to get it this week because it's on sale at the brewery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it, and I'm going to drink it for you right on the camera, and we're going to drink this beer, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about that beer, you know what I mean? Because that's how I get down. So it pays to be close to Cooperstown if you a Game of Thrones fan. So Game of Thrones Iron Throne beer, if you can find it, get it. It's kind of sold out. The first one was gone. The next one, I'm going to have that in a couple of days, and I was going to wait to do this video and do it then and hit you with it, but I figured I'd just shoot this one up there real quick and everything else. So, yo, this is the Don. I want to say straight up, I'll probably throw that video up, but thank you to everybody who subscribes. Tell your peeps about me, you know what I mean? And subscribe, share the video, and let's get this going. Talk a little Game of Thrones. Anything you want to see me do or talk about, hit me up in the comments, and you know I answer all comments. Everybody knows that who does that. Peace out to Charlie in Westeros, LaDonna, James, and everybody else who I personally talk to on a regular basis. Maester Payne. Your comments some of the best comments that I see out there. And you keep saying that you're going to do your own stuff, and I'm waiting for it. Where is that, son? Where's that? Where's that? Get on with me. I'll do something with you. You know what I mean? In fact, I got something hot I'm going to do, really hot, real soon, but it's going to be a really big one. So after I get the other Game of Thrones video, a couple of days, I'm going to post that, and I'm going to tell you about the next video I'm going to do. So, yo, it's the Don, Tony Teflon, House Teflon. We pull the strings. Cheer! Get at me.